So in essence, you are not there. When anger grips you, when lust grips you, when sadness grips you, you are not there. So why is meditation an essential practice whenever semen retention is concerned? Or whatever habit for that matter? Well, you must ask yourself, well, what is the objective of meditation? What is the skill? What is the utility of such a practice? Well, there will be many different interpretations, as there are many different forms of meditation, but the more Western generally accepted idea is this idea of emotional intelligence. Now, for the uninitiated, there are two types of intelligence in this world. The first is what is primarily taught in institutions such as schools, colleges, university, and that is the, let's say, the more rational thinking. But then again, if you ask me, then I can't even really call that rational thinking as opposed to memorization in those particular organizations. But let's not digress into the degeneracy of the institutions in that respect. The other type of intelligence we need to meditate on is emotional intellect. Now, emotional intellect speaks of one's ability to see his emotions as a separate entity unto himself, to be able to diagnose with a sharp degree of accuracy one's feelings under certain environmental constraints, let's say. So for example, you may be at a party and you are confronted with a beautiful woman, and you may experience anxiety, social anxiety, in the form of perhaps tightness and constricting around your throat. Perhaps your eye contact is very inconsistent, and you start to notice this energy. The issue then becomes is those who are unequipped to see that particular energy or emotion, these two are synonymous, energies in motion, emotions, is to see that energy as a separate entity unto himself. So what do I mean by that term? Well, I mean is that we are not placing our identification on that specific energy. You hear people say, I'm agitated, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm frustrated. And these individuals are, with as much respect in the world, are incorrect in their diagnosis of what they are experiencing at that time, because that is which is happening. You are experiencing anxiety, you are experiencing sadness, you are experiencing frustration. You are not frustration, you are not anxiety, you are not sadness. And then the interesting perspective or paradigm shift that then happens as a consequence of seeing your emotions as a separate entity is that of control, is that of choice, is that of agency. And once we have made that delineation between that energy and ourselves as the witness of that particular energy, we are then imbued with that sense of mastery to then take an appropriate action. So how does this link in with semen retention? Well, the number one danger isn't the right word, the number one struggle with a particular practice as challenging as this, or it could be any other challenges, if you are trying to give up the addiction of gambling, for example, or drinking, or some other nefarious activity that doesn't sit well with your soul, then you have to acquire this perspective of the witness in relation to what you are experiencing in terms of energy at that point of time. So I did start with semen retention, so let's keep with that example for a moment. So you are going through you're doing your due diligence in terms of going through the trials and tribulations of making this practice a part of your being. Congratulations. But you are starting to experience after the 4th, 5th and 6th day some some resistance in the form of a certain type of energy you're feeling. More colloquially, you might describe this as being horny, or what's another word? Sexually frustrated. It might manifest itself in your thoughts as these kind of descriptions. And when we begin to place some culturally constraining words and language to a particular energy, we begin to displace it from its meaning. Okay? Because you hear these things, I'm horny, I've got blue balls, I'm sexually frustrated, and you immediately start to place negative connotations on that particular energy, emotion. When in fact this is wrong. And when you do that, in fact, you identify with it. So you already lose. So what do you do if you are gripped by quote unquote horniness or being sexually frustrated? You separate those colloquial terms from the energy. So the energy you're experiencing that in that moment is desire. Okay, I'm experiencing desire. I'm not desire. I'm experiencing desire. And then once you see desire as a separate entity or from yourself, you then come into that control paradigm, the higher thinker, your higher self, looking down on that energy that has manifested itself in your body as a result of perhaps something you watched on TV or saw on your phone, or it could be anything, it could be a memory. But you don't identify with it. And this is where meditation comes in. So coming full circle, my friends, the premise of meditation is to sit in the higher self, the master, the witness of these energies, of these emotions. And the more and more you sit as the witness and you begin to watch these energies manifest themselves in you, and it doesn't need to be desire, it could be anger, it could be sadness, it could be frustration, it could be joy, it could be peace, it could be all these things. But we must accept the truth that these are but a separate thing from what Jung called the self, from what the Hindus called the Atman, from what the Greeks called the Pneuma, from what more, let's say, general culture might call the soul. You might call it consciousness itself. You might call it the universe. You might call it your own divine divinity in each and every one of you watching this video. And that is an axiomatic, well, axiomatic might not be the appropriate adjective to describe that truth. But what I'm trying to convey to you is that many people don't understand that they have a choice whether or not to identify with those energies and not. And if you are an individual who has extraordinary difficulty accepting that logic that I have illustrated in front of you, then I would invite you to start practicing this art of mindfulness. I suppose you might have heard that term. It's been floating around quite a lot these days. Being mindful of those energies. Okay? And once you begin to sit more frequently with those energies, not putting your subjectivity on it, just watching them. Like a stranger. Like I can watch these people coming down my road, and I can just watch them as a separate entity, not judging them, but just observing their presence. And that is the same approach that you should take to meditation when an energy manifests itself inside your body. As if a stranger had walked into the room and I'm just watching that stranger. It doesn't make me feel angry that I've experienced it. Doesn't make me feel sad. Doesn't make me feel any kind of way other than my pure objective witnessing of the phenomenon that is occurring as a result of my observation. And that is simply it. My brothers, this is a crucial practice. Not just for some of the more esoteric practices that I share here on this channel, but for life itself. If you are unable to disidentify from the energies that manifest themselves in you across a 24-hour period, then they control you and you do not control them. So in essence, you are not there. When anger grips you, when lust grips you, when sadness grips you, you are not there. My brothers, if you found anything of which I have said valuable in this video, then I will invite you to subscribe to my channel, and I will bring you hopefully some more wisdom very soon. Take care.